What's good, y'all? It's the one and only Brotherhood Healing. And today's message is do not get blindsided by affection. And what I mean by that is be weary of people who you really don't know too much about, and they're trying to give a whole lot, especially within the first time of just meeting you. A lot of times they're trying to do it in order to get in good graces with you. See, like I said, a lot of times that's the first sign. It's like manipulation 101. Like I said, showing like certain acts of affection. Like I said, it's not necessarily affection itself, but certain acts. Like sometimes people will do things and such for you just to put it back in your face. An example of that, like I said, my boss, he would pretty much be like, no, y'all stay on the clock. Y'all go ahead and just sweep around, just essentially just bullshit. And like I said, I want to get y'all full 8 hours. And then weeks later in a meeting, he'll bring up how he has no money. He'll be like, yeah, I do this for you. I make sure you stay on the clock. Y'all, I could tell y'all go home, but you never asked what your employees wanted. And all your employees, that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted to go home. But see, like I said, a lot of times certain people will allow you to have certain things just so they can throw it back in your face. So that's what I mean by saying don't get blindsided by affection. Trying not to shake the camera so much. But that's exactly what I mean by don't get blindsided by affection. Because see, whenever someone is doing things for you, they feel entitled to either tell you certain shit or do certain shit to you. And sometimes, like I said, you have to be very, very, very careful of that. And like I said, things like this is why it takes a certain level of self-awareness, because then you can understand. And then whenever someone offers a rebuttal or they're trying to fight back with you on certain things, you just let them know, let it be known that the affection or the things that they're doing for you, you never asked for. Let it be known that stuff you never asked for. And like I said, you ain't gotta tell them that, but just, be subtle about it. Be like, yeah, that it's nice that you did those things, but you should never get upset for things that you chose to do. At the end of the day, you made a choice. Everybody makes a choice. And I watched a video earlier this morning that pretty much talked about choice. Like everything, this entire universe is made out of our choices. Like the things that we experience, we are I'm trying to think of that big word. We're essentially a collection of the choices that we chose. And even then, we are still the choices that we didn't make, because we are still on the same side of that. And like I said, with those choices, sometimes we will make a certain one and then it'll sit in the back of our mind and we forget about it. And then, like I said, we'll have a situation and experience come up and it's just like, dang, you know, is this something that I asked for? Is this something that I prayed about? Is this something that I manifested? Things of that nature. And yeah, like I said, just not to get too far off topic, but like I said, just be weary of people that try to show any types of affection real early. Because like I said, sometimes it's just giving them room to sort of put their experiences or put trauma on you. Like I said, anyone like I said, love bombing or like I said, doing any types of things. Like I said, it's ultimately just to manipulate you most times. And like I said, manipulation doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing. Like I said, good and bad is just human morality. Like I said, you can manipulate somebody with good intentions or with an intent to do good. But like I said, sometimes the manipulation can be also for bad intentions. Like, oh yeah, I can get you to do this, I can get you to do that. And like you said, it's just one of those things. So always just be mindful of people that try to do certain things or wanting to hang with you a lot and trying to do X, Y, and Z. Like I said, I know someone that's like this, and like I said, he was a cool dude, but it's just the things that he did. It's just you could tell he was trying to have some sort of like validation. Like he craved validation. Like every little thing that he did was for validation. And it's just like he wanted that idea of people thinking that, oh, he's a good man, he does this, he does that. And I remember, like I said, I was at my cousin's wedding and dude was there, and like I said, pretty much like my cousin's wife, her family, like I said, he was just trying to get all like close with them, trying to figure out this, like, oh yeah, you should come out here and like I said, show you around, make sure y'all well accommodated and da just trying to really talk himself up, you know what I mean? And like I said, the guy that he was talking to is a ex-CIA agent. So, like I said, he's very good at reading people. And I'm pretty sure that's why the guy never texted him back, because the way dude was acting, it was out of desperation. Like it reeked off of him. It's like a smell. Anybody can tell when somebody's like desperate for attention. It's apparent, and they always trying to do certain shit to make it seem like they're bigger than their situation. Not to say there's anything wrong with that in certain situations, but overall, if you're trying to prove yourself bigger than what you are in spaces that are full, instead of just emanating that, even behind closed doors, it's a problem, at least in my opinion. You're supposed to be that way even when nobody's watching. So, like I said, just be very wary of those types of people, because they're the type to want to embarrass you in front of others, and they think they have that right because of the things that they do for you. And never, a lot of times it's never for that. So like I said, just be very wary. Like I said, today's message: do not get blinded by affection. Do not do it, y'all. understand why they're doing it, have a good amount of self-awareness. Like I said, you have to be self-aware to realize why people want to be in the space that you're in. And a lot of times they see potential in you that you don't see in yourself. So really just get in touch with yourself. Ask yourself the question. And the first thing that comes to mind, a lot of times that is the answer. So, yeah, I think that's it. Like I said, if you like what I'm saying, like, comment, subscribe, all that, and I'll see y'all in the next video.